Honestly, I've been sort of debating to do this for some time now, but I haven't really gotten around to it. So, here's this thing that I made. Be nice, please. Me, a creator on YouTube, please be nice. Please. Enjoy. Video games, the topic I built my YouTube channel around. They're my choice in spending my free time, but do video games offer any educational substance? Can, say, Grand Theft Auto teach me anything? Many people would argue that video games are mindless and offer no food for thought. I feel that we as gamers, to defend video games, obviously would disagree. James G., a researcher and professor at Arizona State, offered a piece of writing called Good Video Games and Good Learning. In it, he talked about his interaction with video games and what he observed from them. The paper contains arguments that education should learn from good video games in order to make daily curriculum better. I agree, but what I'm referring to here is video games being used in the classroom as a source of learning material, as a book would be used or a movie would be used. I speak from the heart on this subject because I recently made a lesson plan dealing with video games. I changed the lesson plan at the last minute to include what I really wanted to teach. It had to do with culture in video games and the culture of the gamer, and anything that really influenced that culture. My professor was impressed at what I had accomplished, and now this lesson plan is sitting in my professional portfolio. Games have plenty of content to teach as well, and this is where I think many people overlook them, because many people think that they're just, as I said, mindless. We have games like Who's Your Daddy now, but one that I'm going to tackle, two-hand touch tackle at least, is coming up. First off, let's start with a simulation, because simulations are always a good thing that's detailed in my teaching textbooks. Democracy 3 is a simulator in which you play the leader of a country. You can do the United States, you can run it like another country, but I believe it's the United States. It offers a complex simulation that many political science majors probably play in their free time. Dark Souls offers an interesting look at religion and the way information is related to the player. Games offer the same, if not more, complexity that one can find in books and in movies. The biggest difference is that the consumer gets to interact. This changes everything. James G. argues that education needs more interaction because it will change everything. Students need to have input. Dark Souls also offers a challenge. Dark Souls is an interesting thing. The beginning level kind of puts you in a way where when you walk out into the courtyard and you see the Asylum Demon, well, many people think that you should fight, especially on your first playthrough. If you watch the React video on YouTube of teens reacting to Dark Souls, many of them tried fighting. Many of them did not see the door on the other side of the courtyard that they can go through and escape the Asylum Demon and come back later to kick his ass. But the thing is, this is why Dark Souls rocks. Because it teaches you. Because after you die, you realize that you did something wrong, or maybe you didn't fight it hard enough. And once you've done that a few times, you realize that you did something wrong, and you'll eventually find that door. It might take you 5 hours, but you'll eventually find the door on the other side of the courtyard. That's why Dark Souls is kind of brilliant. The game has become kind of famous, infamous, don't know what word to use there, but people like it. Any Soulsian game is shrouded in difficulty, any game made by From Software, basically. Bloodborne does this too, again, made by From Software, only on the PS4 though. Now, this is important because the game structure allows for a risk and reward type play. The player learns what to do. Death does not set the player back as much as it sets them forward. Matter of fact, death is actually key to the plot of both games, Dark Souls and Bloodborne. I'm sure that I could have students write papers, make videos, and present speeches on the amount of plot elements in the game, as many people on the internet actually do for a career, or job, or whatever they do. They get money from it. They can talk about the influences the game takes from other forms of media. Dark Souls is a treasure trove, waiting to be plundered in the education setting. Grand Theft Auto, on the other hand, reminds me of a piece of writing, a satire, nevertheless, entitled A Modest Proposal. If you read it and take it for face value, It's about selling children to the rich so that they can eat them. That sounds yummy. It even talks about babies being like veal. Not for the faint of heart. Now, if you play Grand Theft Auto and take it for face value, I can see how paying sex workers for services and running them over to get your money back because there's no money back guarantee would influence your view of GTA. Obviously, that's something that will rub some people pretty wrongly, and GTA still has some misogynistic themes in it. But overall, under the surface, GTA is a complex, funny, and clever satire. Grand Theft Auto 5 in particular is a satire about the almighty American dollar. There are three protagonists that come from different walks of life. The American dollar has affected all of them in different ways. In that regard, it also has social commentary about how hard it is to change your predicament, even though the people outside believe you should, even though you can't. I believe Franklin Clinton, one of the protagonists, is the best example of this. His parents are both dead. He was forced into a life of gangbanging and dope dealing up until he was arrested. He swore never to do gang work again, but living in the same environment as before, he finds himself dragged back in. His friend Lamar really is the one to drag him back in. It takes a little while for him to get out of there, but under circumstances that are absolutely crazy. It's Grand Theft Auto. I mean, crazy. Satires are crazy and exaggerated. Remember how I mentioned A Modest Proposal? Well, it was about selling children of the poor to the rich for the rich to eat. This was during a time in Ireland where the economy was pretty crap. The rich had money and the poor had children. This satire attacked the rich and the views that they had on the poor. I see it as a metaphor with how the rich dine on the poor at times. A Modest Proposal presented it in a literal sense. So, video games have educational value, educational merit. It just has to be used. Its potential that is squandered in the modern education system. And it would be a very progressive way of moving forward for education. It is a more mature type of content at times because it is interactive. And since I'll be teaching secondary school, it's perfect for what I want to teach. And I may be teaching college where I can get away with a lot more crap like Grand Theft Auto. Not so much in high school. This episode is supposed to be a pilot of sorts. Expect another episode somewhere down the line. I haven't scheduled one yet, and I'm waiting to see how this goes. Before I go, I have to give thanks to God for Jim Sterling, because without his Jimquisition videos, I may have never been influenced to actually do this. And I have to thank YouTube for viewers like you. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.